Awesome. Thanks, Kelly. And good morning, everyone. It's super excited to spend the next hour or so together talking about artificial intelligence and how it's impacting our world, how it can impact your business, and help you create new superpowers ultimately. So, thanks to the team at Data Insight for having me on board. I'm really excited about the community that you're setting out to grow, right? This technology is changing all the time, and the complexities of it are vast. Excuse me. Right. Okay, so let's get into this. I'm looking forward to your questions as well. So either add them in the chat or save them for afterwards. It's always great to have a good discussion. Anything that's super technical, I'm going to deflect back to the experts at Data Insight. So don't ask me about regression models or anything like that. Right. We've been running NewZealand.AI since 2017. We were set up to help business professionals like us understand artificial intelligence and the different ways that businesses are deploying AI to solve, real business problems. And, at times over the last since the 1950s, when Alan Turing and the team at Dartmouth University in the UK started developing AI, right? It's been so gradual in that development that it's often hard to notice or care about, right? But generative AI applications like ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot and Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and all these raft of others, some of them we'll mention today, have really caught our attention in the last 9 to 12 months. And that's because they're super useful, accessible to a wide range of people, right? You can literally load up a browser and start interacting with these tools in a surprisingly human-like way. They can do routine tasks like organizing and categorizing data, but they're most recognized in their ability to write text, make music, create digital art, and much, much more, as we'll see today. But often I think AI's got a bit of a branding problem, doesn't it? If we called AI augmented intelligence, I think that would be a much more accurate reflection of the role that it plays for us in business. So it doesn't matter what role you're in, what profession you're in, what business or industry you're in, artificial intelligence is going to change the way you work and the way that you do business. And in this new era of AI, I think every business person is going to have an AI assistant, a collaborator that will greatly enhance their potential. Every artist, every engineer, every scientist, every doctor, every caregiver or midwife will they have the same in their worlds. We will converse with spaces, devices, and machines, prompting them to solve, create, or do something for us. I often say my 3-month-old daughter will probably never learn to drive and will probably never learn to type, because it's conversational is at the heart of how we're interacting with artificial intelligence. Or maybe it'll be neurolinguistic and it'll be a little device or perhaps an implant or something like that in 20 years' time. Who knows? Bit scary to think about, but it's coming. I think productivity throughout the economy is going to accelerate dramatically, right? And generative AI certainly is touting that opportunity. It's going to create new industries, create new jobs, resulting in a new era of prosperity for all of us. Scientific breakthroughs and new technologies and medicines will dramatically expand as AI helps us to further decode the laws of nature and harvest them for our benefit. And creative arts is going to enter a golden age as AI augmented artists, musicians, writers, and filmmakers gain the ability to produce content at scale more than ever before. But there was one job that I really hoped wouldn't get disrupted by AI. And this company is an Auckland business, and they've gone and done it. Hairspace have created a AI-powered hair clippers. So when you go to the barber and you get your fresh cut, you run the clippers through, and it records 5,000 different hair points, And when your hair grows out, you literally put it into cutting mode and run it back again, and you've got your perfect cut. Right now, not sure about you, but I'm probably not sure if I'm quite comfortable using this myself, but might give it a go on the schnauzer. That would it's quite hard getting that perfect schnauzer cut, so be quite interested on trying it on that at some point in time. So before we get started, let's really dig into what AI is. And so today is going to be informative. It's going to be entertaining, hopefully. You're probably going to see some things that you might not have seen in the AI space before. And hopefully it's going to be thought-provoking and also give you some of that foundational knowledge that we all need to be able to have an intelligent conversation around artificial intelligence and to be able to uncover the opportunities for us to use that in business. So machines that can do things that previously only we could do is a really broad definition of artificial intelligence. Essentially, AI involves making machines or software that can think and learn like humans, learning being the really key element here. Machine learning underpins a lot of AI tech, giving it the ability to improve the more we use it or from increased training data sets. So what's been driving this growth? Over the last kind of 15, 20 years, we've really seen the likes of advancements in machine learning, and that's come about because of the increased compute power. We're seeing NVIDIA and a whole lot of different companies now just racing to supply the big tech companies with enough compute power to process all of this data. And yes, it is the exponential growth in data from Web 2.0, when we all had the ability to start publishing our own stuff on the web, either in our own blog or as companies. And of course, taking all of those photos from your smartphones, using voice and voice calls instead of text, and then we've got the advancements in machine learning algorithms, which are inspired by the structure and function of our brain's neural networks. So AI is a way for us to make everything we care about much, much better. There are some different types of artificial intelligence. There's AI for lawyers, there's AI for farmers, there's AI for just about anything. And if there isn't, there will be. But in general terms, we're talking about machine learning. We're talking about digital humans. So if you remember Auckland's Soul Machines, which created Baby X, if you've been into a Noel Leeming store, you might have seen Nola introducing you as you walk in to help you navigate the store. There's loads of these examples out around the place now, effectively digital reflections of humans that are programmed to convincingly simulate how humans interact. Robotics, of course, are often used to perform tasks that humans just aren't good at, or jobs that we just don't want to do. We have this massive skill shortage around the world, and certainly in New Zealand. And so things like finding enough labor to pick kiwi fruit or sort apples, or perhaps waiting tables or cleaning floors are the sorts of things that we're seeing robotics do now. And of course, in Japan, they've been used in elderly care as well. So somewhat of some success over the last 10 years or so. Natural language processing is how machines learn languages. Think spam detection, predictive text, translating or transcribing all your YouTube video content, and of course being able to record your Zoom meetings and give you notes and tasks at the back end of it. And process automation is the use of software with AI to automate the business processes like loan applications or contact center workflows, to do those tasks that we all have to do every day. If it's done on a computer, it can be automated. So in the last 6 years of working with Kiwi companies on AI projects, there have been typically 3 reasons why they want to invest in new AI tech. So they want to increase efficiencies or productivity. And so that means it's not cutting costs and making people redundant. It's far, far away from that. It's actually making sure that the people that they have are as productive and efficient as they can be, to free up those people's time to do the high value work that machines are just not capable of doing. We need to bridge the skills gap, mention that skills shortage. So we're looking to, I guess, New Zealand's been quite classic over the for years and years and years, where to solve a problem, we just find another person to come in and fill that gap. And we just can't do that anymore. And so we're starting to have to follow in the US and the UK, where they look to a technology first solution to fill that skills gap. And we can start creating new digital experiences that we just couldn't imagine or execute a few years ago. So what are some of the classic kind of business applications? So through chatbots and virtual assistants, businesses are providing support, enhancing customer experiences. AI algorithms analyze vast amounts of data, uncovering trends and insights that drive informed decision-making. By understanding customer behavior, AI enables businesses to create more targeted and personalized marketing campaigns. And certainly now we're seeing, this hyper-personalization at scale with marketing content creation. AI helps in forecasting demand, managing inventory, optimizing logistics for a better supply chain. We're using it in fraud detection and risk management, and HR is using it to help optimize their recruitment process and their shortlisting of candidates by reading through all the cover letters and the applications that they're getting. There's a few other examples. We've got AI algorithms analyze customer preferences and shopping behavior to provide personalized product recommendations, which can help boost sales. Loads and loads and loads of really great examples. AI is just so broad in its capability, but the use cases today are all very narrow. I mean, even if you think of ChatGPT, that use case it's really narrow. It's getting broader, right? And OpenAI's goal is to create AGI, which some would argue they're getting pretty close to, right? But it's quite a narrow use case generally. So AI is not a database, it's a pattern recognizer. What I find really astonishing is the stable diffusion model is 2 GB in size, and it can generate an image of almost anything. I think that's really astonishing. But AI is really only as intelligent as the data that it's been trained on. So if you want to teach a computer how to do something, you have to show it lots of examples of the task that you want it to do. So if I wanted to teach a computer how to tell the difference between photos of cats or dogs, then I need to show it lots of photos of dogs labeled dog and lots of photos of cats labeled cat. And we call these examples the training data. We give those to the computer, which goes off and analyzes those photos and learns what kind of images fall into the cat category or the dog category. But let's imagine that my training data only contains images of ginger cats. My AI is going to develop a pretty weird definition of a cat. It's going to think it's probably a ginger blob, isn't it? So it's not going to recognize black cats as cats or white cats as cats and so on. So the bottom line is that our training data we're using to train our AI, if that doesn't contain all the natural variations that exist in the real, we're going to end up with AI that's not very accurate and potentially pretty biased. Generative AI, as I mentioned at the top end of the talk, is, it's poised to unleash this next wave of productivity. And some of the examples of this we're seeing are just absolutely astonishing, right? So it was kind of like October last year. OpenAI launched ChatGPT 3, and a couple of months later 3.5, and then 4. And so these machines are trained on large amounts of public content. So what's been published on the web. Machine learning models learn from this data to do things previously only humans could do, to predict the next word or phrase in a given context. And by doing this over and over and over, those LMMs with billions of data points, learn to recognize and generate coherent and contextually appropriate responses. Most of the time, they still hallucinate and come out with some weird stuff. They can't always be trusted, and large language learning models are never going to be 100% accurate. But they're capable of generating human-like text, answering questions, completing sentences, writing essays, translating languages, and engaging in conversations. But they don't possess real understanding or consciousness. But they do raise some ethical concerns around copyright and privacy. And they reflect and magnify the human biases ingrained in society with our data sets. And we'll touch on that a little bit more as we go. So we mentioned with ChatGPT, that's text generation. Let's have a look at text to image generation. And I don't know if you've had a chance to play around with Midjourney, which sits on Discord. I know DALL-E with OpenAI is going to be integrated into ChatGPT pretty soon as well. But these tools are just developing at a wild pace, right? So just in a year, you know, we've gone from pretty weird to amazing, right? And it's, you know, it's just proof that AI makes practical at a massive scale things that were previously only possible at a small scale. We've all seen the images where so text to image generation coming out with like wobbly elbows or 6 fingers, you know, and the neural networks are having a little bit of a brain short circuit here. There's a glitch in the matrix going on, but those fibers are starting to get optimized, right? We're starting to see tools now which are much more trustworthy, much more accurate, and delivering, you know, beautiful artworks and pictures. And effectively, if you can imagine the outcome, if you can describe the picture or the process or the video, you can use generative AI to start creating that. If you can imagine it and describe it, that's the key outcome. And so this is Roblox. They're about to roll out to, I think, 200 million kids around the world, a generative conversational AI game building platform. So here they're literally just having a conversation, writing in prompts and adding elements into their gaming space.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real?
All right, so we all remember deepfakes, right? Won't play the whole movie. Deepfakes have gained notoriety over the last few years. You might remember the President Zelensky deepfake where he told his army to stand down in 2022. We've seen just countless examples over the last 4 or 5 years of deepfake video, and it's widely accessible and usable. Anyone with a bunch of video and audio files can train an AI system to make almost anyone say whatever they want them to say. And while this could be useful to bring back actors of the past or make singers sing songs from a different era,
been spending most their lives living in the gangster's paradise. Been spending most their lives living in the gangster.
I'd quite like to see the music video for that one. We have to start thinking about the wider implications of this, right? So, you know, as a practical example, you could get your CEO into a studio and shoot, you know, 20, 30 minutes of video in January. And you could use that same video for all of your PR, all of your promotional videos, all of your content when you need that CEO for the whole year. And all you've got to do is change the script. And so that would make things, you know, make life a lot easier as a brand and marketing and comms person to be able to have access to that and be able to come out with an announcement whenever you need to. But of course, the same can be said for bad actors who, want to take, I don't know, it could be a video of Jeff Bezos who announces, mass redundancy or something like that. And it would be very convincing. Of course, people would see through it pretty quickly. But, it goes to kind of say around the questions around kind of regulation and do we need watermarks or signatures in synthetic content? We've had synthetic content for decades, right? But there's a challenge here given the accessibility and the pace that this is changing. So by 2025, a couple of years away, it's predicted that about half, maybe more, of all marketing content is going to be generated by artificial intelligence. We could be seeing blockbuster films using text to video prompts, but I reckon that's going to happen a hell of a lot sooner than 2020 or 2030 rather. Here's a text to video generative AI commercial.
Revolutionized by years of scientific research, we've brought imagination to life. Pocket pets. Miniature companions, from classic pets to dinosaurs, crafted
Don't
with
you want
precision,
one of these?
innovation,
one of these.
and love. These pocket-sized wonders aren't just pets. They're family, perfect for every journey, every memory. Tiny titans bursting with character, ready to spark imagination and joy wherever you go. Join the Pocket Pets revolution, available at exclusive retailers and pocketpets.com. Embrace the extraordinary.
All right, I just think that's pretty astonishing. So that's built in a product called Runway ML, and they're probably producing that in 4 or 6 second stints, clips, and stitching them together, and then doing the voiceover. So yeah, it's if you, like me, spend a bit of time on Twitter X, it's a great resource for following some feeds on AI art or AI video. And another one to keep a lookout for is Pika Labs, which is also on Discord. Just astonishing generative AI platforms. So this one's not my work. I would like it to be, but it's not. This is a Hawaiian designed Coke can. I pulled it off Twitter, and I tried for several hours to create a prompt to reproduce something that was even half as good as this. But it goes to say that as product designers or creatives, with some good understanding of how to write prompts, we can iterate through designs 100 times faster. We can come up with all of these different options and variables that otherwise would have taken us days or weeks to do. This is the recent Marketing Magazine cover. You might have seen it. This is entirely designed using generative AI tools like Midjourney. It was done by Steve Ballantyne and his team in Auckland from Brand IQ. And literally there's thousands of hours gone into designing the set of images. And it's a real craft, right? We're not quite at the point where these tools can tell you how to write prompts. It is, it's a process of discovery and learning and research. I guess like any other kind of creative art is. So we're a while ago, we might have been thinking that brand and design agencies might have been thinking that AI was going to be an existential threat to their business, and now we're starting to see that actually creating really high quality content still takes time, knowledge, and expertise. It's not changing anything. But this AI technology, it is advancing beyond what is deemed human level performance. Handwriting recognition, speech recognition, image recognition, they're all way above what's deemed to be human level performance. The things that are almost there are common sense. Yeah, that's an important one. Grade school math, reading comprehension. Oh no, that's way up. I can't quite identify what that one. Code generation. Code generation is getting up there as well, right? So it's just changing at a rapid rate of knots. But this does pose a few other things. So on a more serious note,
this is why you should avoid mixing Barbie with biased AI image generators. What does a typical prisoner look like? What about a lawyer, a nurse, a drug dealer? What about a fast food worker, a cleaner, a terrorist, or a CEO? These are all images created by an artificial intelligence image generator called Midjourney, which creates unique images based off of simple word prompts. These AI image generators have exploded in popularity thanks to their impressive results and ease of use. Within a few years, as much as 90% of the images on the internet could be artificially generated. Given that generative AI will have a huge impact in shaping our visual landscape, it's important to understand that the reality it presents can often be distorted, where harmful biases relating to gender, race, age, and skin color can be more exaggerated and more extreme than in the real world. Leonardo Nicoletti and Dina Bass at Bloomberg Technology generated and analyzed more than 5,000 images created by Stable Diffusion. They prompted it to generate portraits of workers in different professions.
Okay, that's about 8 minutes long. We're not going to watch the whole of it. The summary is they use some Stable Diffusion to generate a whole lot of images of people who work in certain types of roles. And as you can probably guess, it didn't just reflect the biases in society, it magnified them. So when they asked it to create 100 images of lawyers, perhaps 97 of them were middle-aged white men, and there might have been one woman, and probably no one of, well, some color. So there's a whole lot of complexities that these large language learning models are spitting out, and certainly, yeah. There's a lot of issues in here that we need to think about. So if we were building a model in New Zealand, we probably wouldn't go and use a data set of US population data, because it's just not going to accurately reflect the characteristics of New Zealand society that our system has been designed for. So we really need to step back and consider the data sets that we're using to train our ML algorithms. Interestingly, Auckland company Aura, who are transforming how retailers report, solve, and prevent crime using facial recognition technology, have done it without gender or racial discrimination bias. They've eliminated that from their algorithms. Don't ask me how. I'm going to go and talk to Phil Thompson at some stage and actually ask them how they've managed to do this. But it can be done. It can be done. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Today, business leaders are looking at the rapid rise of AI over the last 9 months, couple of years. They're seeing a lot of their employees starting to use generative AI tools or other AI capability at work, and they're kind of getting a little bit concerned around, what are we plugging into those tools, and some of the issues that might throw up. We're seeing competitors move very fast, and when you're seeing new players coming in and eating our lunch. The potential is vast, right? So the opportunity for AI is just staggering. What we really need to do is focus on what's the problem that we're trying to solve. Is AI the right solution or the right technology to solve that particular problem? And what's the outcome that we're trying to get from that? So I'm really optimistic for all of you. You're here, you're curious, you're learning, you're thinking, and you're really to start considering how AI might start helping you at work, making sure that you're career competitive, or helping your business create new superpowers. And so this is the AI enablement roadmap. And the first part of this is to make artificial intelligence a strategic priority. That means at every level of the business, we've got the skills and capability to start thinking about and identifying the opportunities to leverage artificial intelligence. Next, we're building a data strategy. We're building robust governance around how we collect, manage, and clean that data to make sure that we're thinking about the applications we're going to use it for and that it's fit for purpose. We're thinking about, we're then looking at the tasks, those repeatable tasks, the things that we do every day. There might be roadblocks in business efficiency. We want to augment those key tasks. And that might be using some third-party tools. It might be using ChatGPT. It might be using business process automation. It might be using Microsoft Copilot. It could be using Google Duet. All sorts of different ways that we can start augmenting key tasks to start unlocking the potential within our people. Then we need to look at how we are growing our human and tech capability. And so this might mean hiring a data scientist or hiring an agency like Data Insight to help and support you through that process. We need to look at the technical capability. So, what services are we going to need through AWS or Microsoft or Google to allow us to run different services? And finally, we're building out the opportunity to create our own model, to automate some of the decision making in our business to help business run smoother and faster. And alongside all of that, we have to think about the ethical and responsible guidelines that we are overlaying our entire operation, so that we're considering data privacy, algorithmic bias, and the impact that these tools will have on people and culture. So bringing everyone along with us and making sure that we're keeping everyone upskilled. So where you can help is finding the spaces for AI to thrive by building some of this basic comprehension and knowledge up around how artificial intelligence is being used in the workplace can help us identify those repeatable processes to augment workflows and to reimagine those digital experiences, the way that we interact with colleagues or we do things together internally, or the way that we want to interact with our customers. So where do we get started? How do we get started? Really, really simple process here. We have to define the problem. An example of this might be our customer service team are really overwhelmed answering common and ever more complex questions. Could we leverage a digital human to increase self-service support, freeing up our people to answer the more personal and complex inquiries? We need to understand the process. What are the steps that we go through? How does that document move through the business? What are the questions that we ask to be able to build that quote? We then need to understand the data that sits in behind it. Is it structured or unstructured? And one of the big changes with generative AI is the ability for us to use unstructured data at scale. So whereby, if you go to NewZealand.AI, you'll see a chatbot that is sitting on there. It's not really a chatbot, it's a conversational interface, right? It's trained on a specific library of 500 pieces of content, give or take, that I've loaded in there, right? That's going to be relevant to AI for business, use cases, New Zealand companies thinking about using AI, regulatory environment, AI for education, all sorts of stuff, right? But specifically for New Zealand. And so that conversational AI is trained on unstructured data. I'm literally putting in PDFs, giving it links to websites, putting in text documents. And there's a little bit of training and guardrails that sits around it, but predominantly it's all unstructured data. The system goes off and learns all of that, and literally in a heartbeat, for $100 a month, you've got a conversational AI interface that you can talk to all of that content. And it's pretty good, right? we've got to think about, if it's structured data, then it needs to be really good quality, it needs to be clean, and it needs to be categorized and labeled correctly, right? And then we get to figure out what solution we're going to provision into that service, right? So we might choose to look at a third-party platform. There are some complexities around that in terms of what data are you going to be storing? So the example I gave on the NewZealand.AI website, that's a third-party platform called Meet Cody, and it's fine. There's no confidential or customer information or IP that's been loaded into that. It's okay for that to sit on a server somewhere in the cloud. It's, you know, there's no issues around that. But when we're starting to leverage our enterprise data to start building out or generative AI models or decision engines, you know, then we really want to have all of this functionality inside our corporate tech stack, right? So to manage those security protocols, to make sure that anything anyone's typing in there or sharing in there is stored on our servers within our tech stack, and it's not being used to train someone else's algorithm, right? I love this. I really do. It takes a village to raise a use case, and it does, right? It's often we'll work with leadership teams to come up with different use cases and ideas, but it's often not until we actually talk to different business units to really understand the way that they work and how they work that we really get to the nitty-gritty of the problem that we're trying to solve. And so that's where bringing everyone along with you is really, really important with artificial intelligence or any new technology that's coming in. But comms is key, right? I mentioned Aura a few slides ago. So they've made public their responsible tech and AI resources. This is just the lean canvas, but there's a whole folder of frameworks there to, you know, ensure that you're thinking about the impact AI is going to have on your users, the wider community, you know, and your business, right, and your customers as well. So you can jump on our side or their side if you want to grab that or ping me afterwards. But it's jolly nice of them to be able to release that framework that they've prepared. So let's get in as we start closing out this presentation with a couple of New Zealand applications of artificial intelligence. So here's Vulcan Steel. This is one from a few years ago, but they used computer vision technology to identify their workers on the back of their flatbed trucks, whether they were wearing a hard hat or a jacket, high-vis jacket, to try and eliminate the opportunity for things to swing in their way and make sure they're highly visible. Imager, you may have seen, I think they did a trial run at Faro. Well, it's in the image, isn't it? They definitely did a trial at Faro. They've been working throughout Asia in supermarkets. So they built a model which, using computer vision, which recorded like 20,000 different products, so that the AI system could identify that product if there was like just a little tiny little 1 or 2% of the product showing if you tried to hide it in your hands. And effectively they're eliminating that checkout process, right? So you're scanning items into your car or your trolley, it's going into an app, you walk out of the store. It's kind of like there's Z Energy drive-through top-up process, right? Where it's got number plate recognition, pay by plate, isn't it? Number plate recognition, and it's just adding it to your, charging your credit card as you drive off. Halter, these guys are amazing. So they built a product that's a neck brace that goes around a cow's neck, and it allows farmers to run fenceless farms. So you can, using vibration and other indicators, moving animals across the paddock without having to have workers there or dogs or distress them. And you can also identify if an animal is on heat or lame or injured and move them safely to another area to meet the vet. Maui 63, Tane is phenomenal. They developed an AI-powered tracking drone to fly between Piha and Raglan, I think, and it goes out about 50 kilometers, spotting Hector and Maui dolphins, super endangered. And it notifies all the fishing trawlers around the area to stay clear. But it's also tracking how close the dolphins get to land, because it's the cat pee that comes off the land. I kid you not, it's the cat pee that comes off the land that creates the toxic plasmosis that makes the dolphins really sick. So what did you learn today? There we go, lots of things. I mentioned Meet Cody. So generative search is a really popular use case for AI at the moment. And so literally, if you've got a SharePoint folder, there's lots of different tools you can use for this. This is just one, but if you've got a company Google Drive or a SharePoint folder, chances are there's content in there you never knew existed that could be super useful to help you write that new sales pitch, to write that project plan, to write a report about the impact you've had on a customer over the last 10 years. And it's all sitting in there. And if only you could have a conversation instead of sifting through folders and folders and folders of stuff, you'd get your work done a hell of a lot faster, wouldn't you? There's lots and lots of different tools around this. For marketers and content producers, coming up with really good ideas to write content is pretty difficult. So Reword connects in with Google Analytics and Google Search Console and a bunch of others, and it knows what people visiting your site really like and really enjoy, and then it gives you recommendations with cited references and things like that for new blog posts. Probably all seen a whole lot of tools that are now recording the Zoom calls or your meetings and are able to give you transcripts and tasks and automated follow-on work and things like that from it. Descript's one I use all the time. You can load up a audio file or a video file, and on the left-hand side, it's transcribing all of that. And you can literally just edit the text and then export, and it will save the new video, right? It's pretty clever stuff if you're into podcasting or webinars and things like that. We don't have to learn how to code anymore, apparently. Microsoft Power Apps, I think it's now Copilot. You can literally have a conversation to build business process automation or build an app with connected workflows and integrations. I think that's pretty astonishing that we're kind of at that point now where we can just imagine what we want the outcome to be, and with a bit of luck, we can start building it. Here's one for your dinner tonight. ChatGPT. This is Chef GPT. So you plug in some of the things that you've got in your pantry and your fridge, and it'll give you some tasty recipes. This one has saved me many times from having to do a trip to the supermarket to pick up a missing ingredient, just kind of work around it and use the things that you can use, right? Okay, so we've got not much time left. I love using ChatGPT. I hope you do too. How your experience is, I'll be interested to kind of know. This is a prompt. I'm going to share this with you, and I'm going to share it with the data insight team so they can email it out to you after the session as well. So this is the prompt that you can use to build your own personal coach or mentor. It's like having a consultant in your pocket helping. It doesn't matter what role, what company you work with, it doesn't matter. You can have a consultant sitting in your pocket to help you be better at your job, right? So we're going to walk through just quickly how we structure that prompt, right? Everyone can have their own coach or mentor. Brilliant. So the first thing is we're going to assign the role. We're going to give ChatGPT the perspective to bring. So here's the prompt. Act as a highly experienced marketer, whatever role it is, who specializes in working in B2B software and professional services businesses from New Zealand growing globally, right? We've given it the role. Act in this way. We're going to set some context. You'll become my coach and mentor, helping me become better in my role, challenging me to think outside the box, use data-driven decision-making, and world-class strategic frameworks to guide my methodology. When I come in and say, whatever the magic word is, you'll ask me what I'm working on today and where my roadblocks are, and continue to ask questions to help me work through and find a solution. Constraints. I only have 15 minutes a day for this task, so you better be short and sweet. Give me feedback, suggestions, and next steps to work on. Then we're going to set some clear outcomes. In 6 months, I want to apply for the CMO position in my company, so you'll help me lift my game, developing the skills and confidence I need to be in that role. Understood? Okay, so I've done this for an HR manager who works for an international manufacturing business. I'm going to see if I can just pause this quickly. Right, so I've said let's go was the keyword, and I've said we are losing employees to other companies offering better career progression. It's understood it, said here's some ideas: internal surveys, benchmarking, learning and development, and some next steps. And then I've said, okay, what programs would you recommend we set up to ensure employees see a career pathway with us? So it said roadmap workshops, mentor programs, courses, reviews, perhaps even a job board. Good suggestions. Okay, so then my next question is, can you give me an outline and table format of a career roadmap workshop? Absolutely. And literally in 5 seconds flat, it comes back to you with a workshop template. My key message from all of this is no one should be starting from zero. Doesn't matter what task you're doing, what problem you're trying to solve. With a tool like ChatGPT, you don't start from zero. You always have the opportunity to ask the framework to get a starting point to help you structure whatever it is, the work that you're doing. And as ChatGPT starts launching speech and image recognition, you know, you're seeing examples of being able to upload a photo into ChatGPT. It might be a statue in Prague, and it will tell you the history of that statue. It might be your bicycle, and you want to, I don't know, change the wheel on the bicycle or fix a brake. It'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to do that, right? So no one starts from zero. And I think that's a really important message. As we come to the conclusion of this webinar, my ambition is to help you become more aware of the opportunities and the limitations of AI-powered tools you can use at work. I encourage you to invest in thinking about training and the knowledge that you need to start leveraging AI at work, and work with your partners like Data Insight to really help you with that data layer and the good governance layer. It's such an important part. So thank you very much for having me. I hope you've had a few giggles, taken lots of notes, and found that really useful. Kelly, back to you.
Thanks a lot for that, Justin. That was really good. I think we've all got quite a good idea of, you know, some of the potential of it and some of the existing use cases and all of that. I'm aware that we're running out of time pretty quick. We've had some really good questions come through. We've had questions in a whole bunch of different departments. We've had sales with questions on trust and authenticity. We've had questions from marketing around copy and connection, product management around UI, UX, coding.
Now, have you seen on, so if you have a Figma design,
Yeah, that's a
If you
cool
have a
plugin.
Figma design, you can upload that into ChatGPT and it will write you the code.
Yeah, there's a plugin just for Figma. It does it within it now. That's cool. There's a lot of plugins that can do all sorts of languages and all
Yes,
sorts. It's
it is.
awesome.
It is.
So we've got customer experience and marketing. There's a Figma plugin that will actually assess your design as well.
Yep.
Around segmentation, behaviors, engagement. We've got even had questions around mental health and staff management, as well as legal with copyright and stuff like that. So we'll make sure that anything we don't manage to cover in the next couple of minutes, that we do include in the follow-up email and follow-up content. But just in the time that we've got, what would you say, Justin, is kind of how can these tools and stuff really help businesses better understand kind of their customers and engage with them from like a marketing kind of angle?
Okay, so a couple of different ways. So, I mean, first of all, if you've got lots of customer data, now that might be sales, that might be customer service inquiries. So, if you have a call center or even an email help desk, there'll be thousands and thousands of emails and conversations which you'll be able to load into an AI system to be able to analyze what are the key problems, what are the tone, what's the sentiment, how long did it take you to resolve them, all sorts of different things to help you. You might even be able to look at, if you're doing things in real time, it might be being able to surface issues that are bubbling up that you didn't know didn't exist yesterday. You can use it for optimizing price elasticity, for churn prevention, so predicting when someone's likely to cancel an account, so that you can look to retain that. And we can run hyper personalization at scale. So that's really coming out where we can start producing content that's tailored to the specific user. So, gone are the days where 50 people searched what should I do in Queenstown for when I'm there for the weekend, and they all get the same 20 links on Google's homepage, right? Now when we're using generative AI tools like ChatGPT or Google Bard, everyone's getting a personalized response. They're getting a different outcome.
Yeah, and I think that's the one of the key takeaways from the session stuff is that one of the, as you kind of mentioned at the start, if we rebranded it as augmented intelligence, then that's a much more, I guess, productive way of looking at it, because it is often what AI is going to enable you to do is not necessarily do things differently, but to do it at scale and cheaply. It's not that people couldn't personalize before, it's just that it was incredibly intensive. And so people could only a few organizations could do it, and ones that typically had a tiered service model. So that kind of capability is just becoming more broadly available to a lot of different entities. I just thought of a good analogy the other day of Apple spent billions of dollars on UI, UX, and design. And at the time, it was really revolutionary. But now, that big kind of transformation has led to now the, ubiquitous design, UI, UX, CX that we see. We now expect this, at least semi-personalized service everywhere in our lives. And so I think AI is probably going to have a similar effect in that. Sorry.
Just think about if you go to, I don't know, I'm just picking one, like if you go to Spark or a big corporate website and you've got like mega menus of navigation, right? So you're trying to find your way through this website. That kind of functionality, I think that's gone, right? We've just, it's just inaccessible. It's way too time consuming. That chat bot that sits at the bottom right hand of your corner of your screen, that's going to come up to above the fold, and it's literally going to say, what can I help you with today? And you're going to have a conversation with all the content on that website, all the customer case studies, all the product documentation, all the support, whatever you want to, and so it's going to give you a direct line into that entire company customer knowledge base, without having to sift through mega menus of drop down options to find stuff, right? Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. I'm sure we could talk about this all day,
We could.
but we're aware of everyone's time. So as I said, we'll make sure that we get through a lot of these questions in our follow-up emails and stuff. But in the meantime, just like to thank you, Justin, for your time and your wisdom and knowledge in this space. And yeah,
You're very welcome. Thanks everyone for joining us. I appreciate it.
no worries. Cheers. Everyone enjoy your day. Thank you.
Bye.